Hey everybody, I would just like to welcome you to this episode 2 of the Coach Estrada podcast with Tom Gelardi and Quinn Sanders. It was so much fun talking to these guys. You're going to love it. Enjoy.
And so, Tom Gilardi, you're in New York, right? Were you born and raised in New York, or did you
Yeah,
move?
yeah. Always lived in Queens my entire life. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, I represent all five boroughs, but I live in Queens.
Hey, you know what? Somebody got to be number one, right?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we're gonna
coming
do.
to America, I see you.
We're
That's
gonna
what
do.
people used to do to me when I used to live in Rancho Cucamonga. Friday! Yeah, Friday. That's where I live. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So,
man.
Thomas, like, what grade levels are you teaching this year?
K to five.
K to
K to
five.
five.
We're all teaching the
Nice.
smalls, man, the tinies, and they are in such a very vital stage of their development. Can you go, Tom, first, and then Quinn? Just give me like a 1 minute brief background on like your career and maybe where you went to school and why you chose to be a PE teacher.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was always into fitness and sports, and I got my undergrad at Manhattan College. I was a Jasper. I played soccer there for 4 years. I thought I was going to be a professional until I realized that I had trouble getting playing time on my team. Like, how am I going to go pro? So, but I was really undecided. Didn't really know what I wanted to do for undergrad, but started working with kids, really enjoyed working with children and sports. So then I went back to school and I got my master's at Adelphi University in Garden City, New York, for physical education. And then the key there was I just got mentored well. I got very lucky that I met a really strong, passionate phys ed teacher that took me under her wing and taught me the ins and outs. And I happened to work in her district for about 4 years.
Oh, that's
And
really
then
cool.
and then from there, there just wasn't openings. From there, I went to District 75, which is special education. I worked with kids from K to 3 that were suffering from autism. And that was very difficult. I had a very small class. I had maybe 6 students total, and they can do very little. And that's where I really learned to videotape myself because there's just never enough people to help them. But if I record myself doing something, now my students are watching me, and it gives me the opportunity to almost assist myself with those kids. So I did that for about 4 years, and then I got my administration degree, and I met a teacher in that program who told me of a school that they're looking to hire someone, and I said, here's my resume. And then next thing you know, I interviewed, I got that job, and I've been there for the past 7 years now, working in an elementary school, K to 5, Gen Ed. So it's been an up and down roller coaster type experience to get to where I am now, but I couldn't be happy.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you, Tom, for sharing. Go ahead, Quinn. Give us a little background on yourself.
I am very similar to that actually. Like I was in the National Guard, or actually I was in the reserves initially, and I was going to school to be a business administration major because I figured I needed some sort of degree that make sure I could handle all of my money when I became a professional baseball player. And so we had a camp for all the kids around the area to come, and we went through and we taught them how to swing it, how to throw it, we just had an overall really big camp that all the kids had a great time at. And then I realized, like, man, I really like kids. I knew I liked them before, but like it became really evident that I liked children at that point. So I went back and changed my major. And in changing my major, since I already knew what I was going to do, that added another 2.5 to 3 years onto my school, because since I knew what I was doing, I didn't take any of the undergraduate stuff. So hey, if you're out there and you don't take your undergraduate stuff first, man, you will pay later if you change your mind, which is very prominent to happen when you were that young. So went through that, and like you, man, like I was like the fifth outfielder on my team. Like I would DH a lot and I'd swing it a lot, but as far as getting out there and doing it, I was not that starting guy. Like I was playing behind both of Dwayne Murphy's kids, and we had a super stud in center field that was even better than that. So like I was not getting on the field unless I had to pinch run or like would pinch hit or something like that. So that changed me a little bit, and so I came down and went to Cal State San Bernardino, home of the Yotes. And then that's where I got my, Georgia's one too. That's where I got my degree at, man. Listen to one of my favorite professors, Terry Rizzo, tell me, Q, you're not gonna get a job if you don't do adapted, man. You're not gonna get a job. You better do adapted. So I made sure I went and got that supplement just in case he was right. And then I ended up being a physical ed teacher in San Bernardino City Unified at the middle school level, and then eventually transitioned down to the elementary level where I am now.
Wow.
Yeah. Tom, I really had a brief conversation with you, and we've only spoken quite briefly, but from what you told me, I remember one thing. It's so important that you have a good mentor. So could you break down like some of the key lessons that you learned from your main mentor the first 4 years, and then Q, you get a chance. You know, my mentor is actually our old boss that we shared, but I have a really good relationship with her. But go ahead, Tom, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, she's just a wonderful woman that is extremely passionate. And from telling me the first day I walked in how to dress, how to hold my whistle, how to blow my whistle, like the attention to detail was tremendous. And any little thing, Tom, you're standing in one spot too long. You went too long on that. Tom, we have to videotape this. I'm like, you're very intense. And listen, and at that time, I was single, no children. I had all the time to improve. And her taking me under her wing because she saw something in me, as far as the way I was with children, that she saw my dedication, that she just, any little thing, any little adjustment that I needed to make, she was on top of it. And she never steered me wrong. Any feedback she's given me, I've always worked on it, and it always made me a better teacher. And even to this day, it's been probably 15 years. I still call her once a month, getting her feedback on something, and she still never steers me wrong. So you want to find someone that isn't just given to you. You want to, if this person you meet isn't passionate, is just going through the motions, you have that right as a student to find someone else and do that. Don't pick a school based on location. Oh, it's down the block, it's easy. No. If you have to drive a half hour out of your way because you're with someone that can really teach you something, because it's really your only crack before you get an actual job where you're going to have this really unique experience, because a lot of teachers in New York City, for the most part, work by themselves. So if you don't get that experience with someone that's really good at their craft, it's a really big missed opportunity.
Quinn, do you have any mentors in the past, maybe because you've had a different career, maybe a little bit longer,
now I'm standing next to him. So
one of the things that I had, or one of the people that I had, and it was a lady by the name of Nancy Sanchez Spears. She was my mentor, and she happened to be at the school that I went to initially. I was hired at one school, and then I was transferred over to another school after that. And I came in and the same thing. She took me under her wing. I really appreciate those shoes that you're wearing, But those are not the shoes that you should probably wear when you go set up the fields in the morning, because if you wear those shoes when you go set up the fields in the morning, then you won't have them very long because they'll get all soggy and they'll be all messed up. So keep you a nice pair of bubble gums or jacked up shoes in the morning, so when you get to school, you can take those and you can wear those out to the field and get those all messed up while you're setting up your fields, and then come up, put your nice shoes on, and then do whatever you need to do with your nice shoes on later. Things like that. She also kept me, because when I was a young teacher, I was kind of fiery, and she also kept me from an administrator who would always point out the negative things I did as opposed to any of the good I did. So like if I had a class of 50 kids, she would point out that 3 were off task instead of the 47 that weren't. So she cut me off from seeing seeing one of them that morning when I was on my way up there to just tell her how I felt about her. She kind of cut me off on the way up there, turned me back around, and then put it in a nicer way when she went up there. And then that teacher took care of me, that administrator took care of me later on and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I could just see the potential in you, and I wanted to make sure that you kept striving to be better. I didn't realize that when I pushed you and was striving for you to be better, that I needed to put some positive reinforcement in there as well." And so, and to this day, like with you, Tom, like she's still someone who I can lean on, and who we go back and forth periodically, and we talk about different things so that we're able to do that.
And the piggyback on that feedback piece, it's just amazing. I don't take feedback too well from administrators that are forced to give it, right? So they have to observe you twice. They're forced to be in there. They're going to find something positive, find something negative. They don't have a background in phys ed. Take it like you do a grain of salt, right? The feedback that I embrace is when I videotape myself and I go to a mentor, I go to someone else I respect, and I say, "Hey, what did you think of this lesson? Good or bad or indifferent? What do you think?" And that feedback I'll digest. But if an administrator comes in with no background in phys ed and barks at me because I have one student that has his leg out when all the other kids have their legs crossed, I'll be like, "Well, thank you. Let me sign your thingy. It means nothing to me." The only time I'm concerned about anything an administrator gives me is if I'm untenured and it involves some kind of security. Then I'll do, "Oh, okay, yes, I'll do that. Yeah. But once that part of my career is over and they no longer have that power to do anything that can affect me as far as teaching, listen, they're there to give you some feedback that could be negative. You know how good you do. And if you're concerned about your teaching in regards to that, like I said before, videotape yourself, have someone you trust, look at it. They'll give you the feedback and you'll go from there."
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love what you guys are saying. Just moments in your life, people say things and they might not be in the best state of mind. They got in a car crash before they got to work. They got a flat tire. Their husband did something that, or their wives, because it goes both ways, or partners, and the kids are acting up, and they're trying to say that you're doing something wrong because the kids, are acted up. And sometimes it's not always the kids, sometimes there's many different things that can go right and wrong in any lesson at any given moment. The wrong color comes out, one of our special needs students is gonna have an episode if you bring out the wrong color or you partner them with the wrong person. But one of the best things that my mentor, Amy Gazaniga from San Bernardino City Unified, was that Amy Gazaniga. Yeah. So she said, if you're not selling, the students aren't going to buy it. If you're not excited for the activity, what makes you think that the students are going to get excited for that activity? You actually have to be a used car salesperson. You got to be a little bit of everything. You got to be a dancer. You got to be excited. You got to animate yourself. And then you got to repeat yourself like Bill Walsh used to do. And Bill Walsh was like, if there's something important that I want my players to know, I'd say it 3 times. I'd write it on the board. Then I'd say it again. And then we'd move on to the next thing. And sometimes our students, at the kinder level, first grade level, they need that 4 or 5 times. And it might not be for you, but it's going to be for that one kid that needs it. And then you're going to give set them up for success. I mean, so many times we want to do 50 different games. We want to have so many cool things going on. But if you have it super simplified and you set your kids up for success, then boom, and you sell it and then they buy it, then there's usually almost no discipline problems. But when there is, you got to find a way to, code switch and make it into a positive, teachable moment for that one kid. Sometimes it's one-on-one, sometimes it's in front of the whole group. It all depends on that particular moment. And you also got to look at the game film at the end of the lesson, like, why was this kid not on task? Why was this kid really, is it just because they're tired? Is it because they're hungry? What is it? And we got to look at ourselves and we got to look at the kids, and you got to keep on selling it. Sometimes like the dance unit is like a really good unit. Like Tom, I know you're a big dance guy. Like what makes your dance unit like get all the kids pumped up? Like, what is it? Is it your energy, or is it just like, this is the skill and we're gonna do it and we're not gonna stop doing it until we do it right? What do you do, Tom? Like, what do you think?
When it comes to the dances, well, you find music that they enjoy, right? You figure out what they like to listen to, and then you'll play that. Then what I'll do is I'll just put the music on and I'll start doing basic movements that I know they enjoy. And sometimes it's as simple as jumping up and down, and then depending on the grade, if we're doing 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I'll throw in jumping jacks, speed jumps, jogging in place, all things that they're familiar with. And they don't think that they're dancing. They think they're just warming up to the music. And then all of a sudden I throw in one of these. They're like, all right, I'll throw in one of these. And all of a sudden they're doing that. And then I'll throw in some dance moves, and then they're kind of with me. It's like you're almost tricking them, And then once you trick them into doing it one time, next thing you know, you're doing it every warm up of every class, So.
I like it. Quinn, we have back in San Bernardino, we had this very in-depth, really cool dance unit. Did you ever do the dance unit, Quinn?
I did the dance unit. My dances were just different. Like I had different variations on a lot of the dances, because my students liked the other stuff, but when they could pick the music, or they could pick which dance we were doing, they were a lot more sold on what it was we happened to be doing at the time. Except for the first graders, like the kinders and the first graders, that's the easiest dance group ever, man. You throw on some music and whatever they do, then I imitate them as they're doing it, and then they try to imitate me imitating them, and it turns into this really big, cute thing. And we danced for like 40 minutes, and they didn't even realize that they were dancing that long and making it happen that long. And so they end up having a really great time with it.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
I think simple with those younger groups makes build-in blocks a lot easier. You go from super simple, and then you can go a little bit more complex. And we're following Ben Perillo. Then we're doing a little cardio dancing. This is the first time I did the cardio drumming this year, and I think it was a learning experience for both of us. But I think they loved it. And really, what really matters at the end of the school year is that the students have such a positive experience in PE that they're excited for next year. Like, you might not do every lesson perfectly, but if you have them having a good time, they remember that. Like if they leave like with that buzz, they're like, oh my goodness, that was so much fun. Like, you're like, man, these kids are crazy. But I just let them just a little bit of craziness, but it was what do you call it? Organized chaos, right? What's your favorite activity? Quinn, I think you have an activity in your brain. I can feel it. What activity?
Well, I was just gonna say that it's super cool, because now, since I haven't really left the same area, all the kids that are like a lot of the kids that I had in middle school, now I'm having their kids, or like their parents are popping in on the Zoom. Like, I see a face coming from the side. Hey, Mr. Sanders, remember me? You had me for PE too. Like, now you're teaching my daughter or whatever. And so it's like, oh, that's super cool. Excellent. Hey, how have you been? And so we just go to work. I heard your voice on the Zoom, and I knew that had to be you. So, stuff like that is just really super cool.
Well, it's great. They have a positive experience with you. I mean, they know you, they trust you, and they want your kids, their kids to listen to you, And but back to the question, it's like, what organized chaos activity do you have, that it's like you're like spinning 15 plates at the end of the lesson, but it's a winner every single time. What do you have, Quinn?
Organized chaos for me, for the most part, if we could catch a sunny day, because that depends a lot on it, man. But this thing we call shadow tag, like the kids, and I guess now it'd be really appropriate because the kids aren't touching in order to tag each other. What they have to do is they have to run and they have to try to step on the shadow head of the other kid. And if they step on that kid's shadow head, then they run over to the tree in the shadow. They do however many jumping jacks it is for that particular grade level. First grade, I do 5. Kindergartners just jump up and down. Second graders 10, third graders 15. Like I just expanded 5 every grade level. But they go and they're running around, and like I have to literally get my fishing pole and snatch them each and pull them back in at the end of it, because they're still trying to play, and I have no boundaries, so they're running all over. You know how big my school is. They're running all over the place trying to get each other and do everything. So I'm like, all right, let's go. We're leaving. Let's go. Turn the music off, and then they're like, oh man, So that's the one more than any other one that I have to kind of pull them in, and it's organized chaos, but it's so good, and I check and see the kids that really need to get water but are avoiding to go get water because they're still having so much fun. No, you're gonna stop breathing and pass out on the go get water. You'll play some more. Just get water real quick. After you're done, then I'll give you at least 2 more minutes to play it, man. You got time. So that's the one that I have the most fun with, and it's organized chaos. That and dinosaur tag, which I use the different colored wiffle balls, and each dinosaur nest has a different dinosaur, and all the dinosaurs are trying to eat each other, and so whichever dinosaur gets tagged by a different dinosaur, they get eaten. 2 dinosaurs tagged at the same time, they ate each other, and they both have to sit up there with the ball up, but both of those are great, man. Absolutely great.
The noises, I can imagine. I could hear the screams already. Tom,
it's unbelievable. Plus the music, it's unbelievable.
You cannot go wrong with tag and dinosaurs. 100%.
Tom, what's your organized chaos activity that you always go back to somewhere in the middle of the year, at the end of the year, and you're like, it's the noise levels, whatever, the balls are flying everywhere, but it doesn't matter because they're having a good time. What is it?
Controlled chaos. We play a game called Capture the Flag, where it's between 2 teams. You have to run across a line. The moment you run across this line, you can get tagged by the other team. But if you get to this safe zone, you can grab your football and you can either run it or step out of the zone and throw it to your other team. So you just have so many different things going on at one time that it kind of looks like controlled chaos. But my biggest thing is, though, with kids that we like, when they request things, like, for example, the K-2s, they love the parachute. For me, you can't go wrong with the parachute because you have all the kids in front of you, and there's a billion different things you can do with it, between lifting it up, having them go underneath, you name it, they love it. And all it takes is one kid to mess it up, but it also takes that one time where you're like, this is what we're supposed to be doing. Johnny, you're not doing that. Take a moment. Oh, no, coach. No, I'll be better. Take a moment. We'll invite you back. Okay, I want the parachute. And so but K-2, if I'm going to get observed, I'm using the parachute. I know I have complete control. With 3, 4, and 5, one of my go-tos is a cooperative game we call Mission Impossible. We break up into teams of 6 to 8 kids. We give them random equipment, and they have to travel with that equipment from one side of the gym to the other without touching the floor. And, you talk about teachable moments, how they're strategizing or their game plan, the way they're thinking. It's something that they look forward to. It's something that when September rolls around, they're like, when are we doing Mission Impossible? It's like,
I already have a plan.
The class rules, Yeah.
No, Mission Impossible. We call it, what do we call it over here?
Bridges.
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 We call it bridges. And we've added a couple different layers to it. And one of the layers that we've added was that in the middle of the course, there's hula hoops, and that could be your checkpoint. If they make it to the hula hoop, they can step on the rim of the hula hoop, and but if they make a mistake after the hula hoop, they go back to that hula hoop. So that's like for the kids that are really struggling with any kind of, cooperative. There are some groups that struggle with that, and it kind of helps them out. So what I always like to do is they go all the way down to the other side, and I say, "What's your favorite piece of equipment?" They're like, "The balance beam." "Oh, thank you. I'm going to take this for myself." And then they get down to the other side, and I'm like, "What's your favorite piece of equipment?" And then they say something completely different, and I'm like, "Nope, I'm taking this one over here." And then sometimes I'll give them the balance beam, sometimes I won't. Depends on how much equipment they already have. Yeah, I've seen it done with like 2 poly spots, and they got 4 people. I mean, they're carrying the smallest one. I've seen all kinds of cool stuff, but
and like what I love about it too is like you're looking for those teachable moments, right? If you see one team succeeding and the other team is struggling, and the other team accidentally takes their beanbag and slides it to the other team, but they need that beanbag. Now, what do? The other team could say, "Oh, sorry, we're thinking about ourselves," or are they going to take the other team's beanbag and slide it back, right? And so you look for that. And then when that happens, you stop the entire class and address it. And there's so many teachable moments when you play these types of cooperative games. You got to make sure you hit it, because the kids can learn so much about playing as a team.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that happen.
Big time life lessons for sure.
Yeah, I love to pause it. Even if it's a really faint thank you or a please, if it's a faint one and I hear it, I'll say, "Oh, everybody freeze, hands on your knees. Did you just hear that? So-and-so just said thank you. Oh my goodness." And then like sometimes I'll give out like tickets for like incentives, like if they get the most tickets and they're the kindness or whatever. But I'll give them like 5 tickets if I had it that day. But like if I don't have tickets, I'm just like, I make a big deal. Like that is it. You're getting the full thing. And no, but my organized chaos activity, because I haven't had a turn yet, but my organized would be the star pattern drill. You have 5 people in a circle. You get I like to put either a cone or a hula hoop in the middle. They take 5 steps back, and then person 1 throws it across the way. Can't pass it next to each other. Person 2 passes it across the way, across the way, across the way. It goes back to person number 1, right? So you start with that. You just got to get them passing the ball, or you can even have them rolling it if they're K. Like just get it to the other person, but make it. The most important thing is communication. Make it a catchable pass and have your hands ready. And if their hands aren't ready, don't throw the ball. They have to like look at you, so they're saying their name. Tom, boom. Tom says, "Thank you." And if they drop it, nice try. But then to make it organized chaos, I'll add a second ball. So if they get the ball all the way around, they'll have a second ball. They get the ball both balls all the way around, then I'll add a third ball, and then by then they lose the ball. It's balls everywhere. And then I'll mix it up. Oh, let's add this little foam ring. Let's add a frisbee. Let's add a wiffle ball. Let's add a bean bag. Now we got all kinds of equipment. If you got chickens, throw the chickens in there or whatever. And see how long they can go. How many pieces can they get going at the same time? They drop it. They can't add it until they go all the way around again. It's one of those things where it can be so frustrating, but can also be so rewarding. But if they're not focused on communicating and being like a good teammate, like passing it a catchable ball, they're going to struggle so much,
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when sometimes the kids think it's about them throwing it as opposed to their partner catching it. Like that's a tough lesson to get to them. Like, hey, it doesn't matter how pretty your pass is if they don't catch it. Like, would that count as a touchdown if Tom Brady hit you in the end zone with nobody around and you didn't catch the ball? Would it still be a touchdown? And they say, "Oh, that pass was awesome," though. Would they do that? And they're like, "No, they wouldn't do that." So
yeah. What makes a good pass? The person catches it. But it's true. They don't think that way.
No,
I threw it so far. Okay. Well, you screwed up the whole game.
And then there's so many 15 different ways you can have one person go to the middle and defend, and if they intercept it, then they go to the outside. You can do so many different things from that. What is your like go-to ice-breaking activity? Quinn, you get to go first. I give you no time to think about it. What is it? Your icebreaker?
Well, since it drives me bananas that kids don't know how to shake hands, like mine initially is doing a rock paper scissors to get them started, but it's all within the whole context of learning how to shake hands. So I have the kids learn how to shake hands, and the first time they play rock paper scissors, they play just basic rock paper scissors, West Coast style we call it, where it's just 3 rock paper scissors. All right, and then they go and they shake hands. If they win, they have a celebration, like some kind of celebration, like woo. If they don't win, then they shake hands with their partner and say congratulations. And if they tie, then they fist bump, and it starts to turn into like crazy types of celebration dances that they have. Like they have a double fist bump with an elbow, and they start doing all this different kind of stuff when they have a tie. And so we start with that one, then we start with the regular rock, paper, scissors, which is the rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Like then we go to that one, then we go to jumping up and down, physical, then we go to Pikachu, and we have all kinds of different what is it, the Alaskan with the fish and the bear and all that. We go through all of them. We go through about 10 different rock, paper, scissors, but the whole concept for me is to get them to learn how to shake hands by looking somebody in the eye, shake their hand, give them a compliment, either say congratulations or give them a compliment, or you look nice today, whatever it happens to be that I'm teaching. I just want them to get that, because the like sloppy fish hand thing just drives me bananas and I can't handle it. So like I always start the year off with the kids learning how to shake hands. I don't know how I'm gonna do that this coming year, but it always starts with shaking hands first, and then we play all the rock, paper, scissors stuff based off of that, and then they do that. Then we switch partners, and we just that's just my biggest icebreaker. Hey, introduce yourself to your partner, tell them your name, whatever, oh gosh, that was your handshake, try that again. Hey partner, don't let him shake your hand like that, and then they go around and do their thing. So that's my favorite icebreaker of the year.
My guy Tom, what do you have, Tom? I know you're cooking it up in there. I
have 2 go-to. I have one that's a rock, paper, scissors one, where if you win, great. If you don't win, you now have to put your hands on the shoulder of the person that beat you. So now it's almost like a train, and then we walk around, play another person. You win, great. Now you have a bigger train. And then at the end of the class, you see who ends up with the biggest train. Keeping in mind the ones that had lost are now cheering you on, right? So it's not like holding on to this person that beat me. No, let's go. You can beat the next person. Come on. And so it becomes this huge situation. And then at the end, you'll say to the person who won, how did it feel with all the people that you beat that they're cheering you on? It feels great. Yeah. That's called being a good sport. And that's what it's all about, right? And then my next icebreaker is with the older ones. And it's more of an icebreaker for like first day of class, getting to know me, working on listening. I call it walk stop. I found this on YouTube years and years ago, and I made it work for Physed Ed, where I'll give them things that they have to do. Just listen. When I say walk, you're going to walk around. When I say stop, you're going to stop. It's really that simple. So walk, stop, walk, stop. Then I might say stop, and then they stop. And then I'll say, okay, this time when I say walk, you have to stop. And when I say stop, you have to walk. So it's the opposite. So now I'm trying to trick them. And based on the grade level, I'll say stop, which means walk, which means stop. And okay, now third round. When I say name, you say your name. When I say clap, you clap one time. So now I'll say walk, stop, clap, name, Coach Gelardi, walk, stop, name, And then I'll say, okay, this time when I say stop, you walk. When I say walk, you stop. When I say name, you clap. And when I say clap, you say your name. And now they have to remember all of that. And then the last round is jump and dance. So if I say jump, you jump one time. If I say dance, you do a little dance. And then I reverse that. And at the very end, to make it fun, I'll know when they're kind of getting confused. I'll say, okay, jump. And you always get that one kid that jumps and then once he lands, he'll go, you know, and it's just hilarious.
Oh,
that game is awesome. Like that's one that somebody told me about, man, and I've done that with this Zoom thing, and the kids lose their minds doing this on the Zoom. So it it is a super cool game. I cannot wait to try that in like person with the kids just to get that started. It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to make a video where I haven't done it yet, but where I'm gonna voice record myself doing all of those and then just doing it and hoping that if someone sees it, they'll play along. But I have to kind of think of the logistics there. But yeah,
that's awesome.
Nah, I can help you out with that, Tom. You come up with ideas. I can help you record it. You know.
All right.
It's not a big deal. That one's pretty simple.
Yeah, he's a master at that type stuff, man. For sure.
I'm gonna edit this all up. You're gonna be looking pretty. I'm gonna put you front and center some of the times. But no, my ice-breaking activity is follow the leader. You know, I get to be the first leader. They're doing exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing jumping jacks. They're doing jumping jacks. Boom, 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 boom. My best listener, my best like high energy kid, they get a chance to be the leader. They actually sometimes blow it. But I'm like, hey, do jumping jacks. Hey, run in place, you know, or whatever it is. And then the whole class is following that leader. The thing is, everybody wants to be that leader. So then I end up putting them into groups. You know, I have them in lines right now because of social distancing. I have them in person, and they're 10 feet apart. But now this person is the first leader for this group, and then when they're done, everybody's gonna cheer them on, and they're gonna do a special cheer. Like for me, I have I got like at least 10 to 15 cheers. Like the first one I got, GOODJOB, good job, good job. And they're like, what did you say? What did he just say? We're gonna go a little slow motion. GOODJOB, good job, good job. All right, we're gonna go, and then they all do it together for that first leader. Then the next leader comes up, and they have a chance for that small group to be the leader. And like if the kids aren't engaged, I'm like, well, when you're a leader, do you want them to just sit there, or do you want to be a leader that has everybody following? And they're like, okay, maybe I should follow this guy or this girl, and then I'll have another cheer, so like what other cheer did I have? Like I have the, this is the one that we learned recently. This one is the hamburger cheer. You're cooking it up. Not done yet. Not done yet. Well done. Super cheesy. And then the next person gets to go, and then I'll have the roller coaster cheer. All right, everybody get into your roller coaster, and then you're gonna go click, 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 click. And it's nothing crazy, but the way that you celebrate people, you put your hands up, everybody give me a swoosh on 3, 1, 2, 3, swoosh. They love that. They love that. That's that positive energy. Every once in a while, if I have a really, really good leader, I highlight them, and then I'm like, all right, everybody will be just like this person. And then like it gives them inspiration to be a better leader. And then, what does it take to be a really good leader? You have to be a good follower. You have to learn all the different moves. Like you can't just, not have something in there. So what is some advice you would give to a teacher, young or old? I'm going to go with you, Quinn, first.
Just any piece of advice that I would give a teacher, young or old, whether you think it is going to work or not, try it and see. Like whatever idea you come up with, because once you come up with the idea, take it to your kids, even if it's not complete yet. Take it to your kids and see what happens. And then that first block of the day, it may not be where you need it to be, but now the next block, all right, now if I would have had this, then that probably would have made it better. Add that to it and then take it out there and see what happens. Okay. Still not done yet. So out there, you take it out there and you keep taking it out there until you have what you think is the best possible plan for that idea that you had. And then now take that all the way back to those first kids that you started it with and say, hey, remember last week I had that game? All right, but now I think we have something. So here we go. And then do that with your kids. no idea is a bad idea. They just need to, a lot of them just need to sit in the oven a little bit longer. And once you cook them up, then you'll have something that you can utilize every year, and it can become a staple in your program. Whatever your idea is, like, take it to your kids. Like, don't be, oh, that's stupid, I can't do. No, take it to your kids. Like, and even if you don't have any ideas, your kids will add stuff to it. Like, hey, you know what? It made that cool, Mr. Sanders. If we'd have done this, or we would have done this, or we'd have done that. And then by the time it's over, man, you'll have some stuff that your kids will love. So whatever idea you have, take it to them and see what happens.
Thank you, Quinn.
Yeah.
What do you got, Tom? What's your piece of advice for young or mature teachers? Anything?
I mean, that was really great advice. I mean, the piggyback on that, you know, I always try to tell my student teachers, the very first thing I do the first week is I try to make certain that all my students have the check off on being allowed to be recorded during class time, right? And this is just for teachable reasons, right? So if I have all my students that are cleared to be videotaped, then I'm going to be videotaping myself, because that's the only way you're going to learn, in my opinion, if you're by yourself. So you come up with a lesson, right? It goes okay. But you watch it on video and you're like, I think I should have fixed, I gotta fix that, right? And then you make those adjustments on your lesson plan, whatever they are. You just scribble it in. Then you do it again the next day, right? Because you can't watch your film unless you're really dedicated and on your prep and you're watching your film. But watch it at night, make those adjustments next day, do the lesson again, videotape yourself again. But make certain that whatever adjustments that you made, that you make them while you're being filmed. This way you don't keep making the same mistakes. And then you go from there and you go from there. I've learned that because I've been very fortunate enough to get my wife into phys ed. And she did not get mentored too well. And she's still learning a lot. And I'm like, let me videotape myself so that you can see my lessons that can help you, right? So I did one of my lessons and I'm watching it with her, going over why I did this, why I did that. And I'm noticing there's a boy in front of the camera, closest to the camera, who did exactly what I wanted from the moment he walked in to the moment class was over. And not one time in the entire period did I look at him, did I address him, did I even walk by him. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I cannot believe that. And so I learned that when I'm teaching a lesson, going over a skill, that while they're practicing, maybe the first minute or two, I'll spend it in this corner. And then I'll stop them, I'll go over something. Then I'll say, okay, I'm gonna put the music back on, work on it again, and I'll go in this corner and I'll meet every kid, spend a little time. Stop the class, go over it, and then I'll go in the middle and I'll meet every kid. But it didn't dawn on me until I showed my wife the video and I noticed I wasn't even addressing this one kid. So I'm a big fan of videotaping yourself. When I made my videos at home, you'll see my progression of how I looked in the beginning to now, how I look filming, how much more comfortable I feel, and how clear I am in my instruction. And it's only through constant repetition of the passion of just getting better, you know?
Appreciate it. No, that some deep moments right now. You know, you focus so much on the kids that are doing everything right, and then you have to focus a lot on the kids that are doing things wrong. Not because you want to, but because you want to help them out, you know? As teachers, we're not there to punish. We're there to help and guide and facilitate and help the kids reach mastery eventually. They might not do it in your class, but if you can share with them like, hey, this is not going to make you have healthy relationships. You want to have friends, you got to stop this, you know? But those kids that are doing such a good job, like it's a balancing act, you know? How do I highlight this kid, but not only highlight this kid? I want to highlight all the good kids. I want to highlight all the kids. And especially with my unathletic kids, sometimes I like to highlight them even more when they do things right.
You said doo-doo.
No, but when they are doing the things correctly and they're focused, like those kids need the most attention because there's a big disconnect at home because they're not getting all the repetitions and opportunities to practice and move. And whether it may be they're in an apartment and they don't have a place to play, whether it be COVID, like those kids need to know that like PE is a safe and positive environment. So when they move on to the next couple grades, they're going to be flying, and engaged.
I could not agree more. And the thing is, if you notice, right, when I said I missed out on that opportunity with that child, I didn't make excuses. Oh, there's 60 kids in a class. How am I ever going to go see them anyway? Oh, I was doing this. No, be better, right? You missed that opportunity and it's okay, right? We're all human, but going forward, I'm going to address it and be better, right? I could easily say, oh, listen, guys, I have over 60 plus kids. I'm trying my best here, right?
But that doesn't spark you to get better. That just leaves you in the same spot.
So. That's just, okay, good excuse. Keep doing what you're doing. If you think it's working, right? It's not, but hey, if you think that excuse is good enough, and sadly, there's a lot of teachers out there that are like that, right? They do just enough. And it is what it is.
No,
for sure.
I think we can go with like one more little tidbit, each of us, and then we can kind of wrap it up and just kind of keep it under an hour, because I think every time I post something that's over an hour, people get a little scared. Let's just keep it, like chunkable bites. Like, what is something that is gonna be so important for the next 2-3 years? And just, kind of, we can go around twice. You give a first 1 minute, like what you think, and then I'll go first too. I think, the SEL continues to be the main thing that we got to focus on, and teaching communities and students and people that people are people, regardless of what they look like, regardless of size, height, backgrounds, like what they smell like. That doesn't matter. They still have feelings and emotions, and they're still going through tough days. I've been doing the check-ins every day, like how are they feeling? And then even like I let them know how I'm feeling, because sometimes I'm not always happy. Sometimes I am a little silly. Sometimes I'm just okay. But usually I start okay and I leave happy, and then they need to notice that too. What do you think is going to be so important the next 2 to 3 years? Tom, I'll let you go first this time.
It's hard to say, right? I thought this situation was going to be over the summer, right? And little do I know. From what I've been hearing, at least in New York City, it looks like we'll still be wearing masks, and so it's hard to say. I don't know if it's going to be like how it's been now, but I want to hope that in time, with the vaccines and with everything getting hopefully better, that things will kind of go back to normal. And yes, there's going to be that SEL piece that's going to have to be addressed. But one thing I can say for sure, and I said this earlier, I have usually 60 plus students in a class at a time. At most, because of this situation, I've had 20, sometimes even 15. So I've been able to learn their names for the first time in my career, get to know about their family, get to know about their lives. We have moments in class where we just kind of have a little chat going from person to person, just getting to know them, right? And now I plan on taking that bond I have with them into the years. And I feel like that's going to benefit my teaching. Also, because of everything that went down, I've been making a lot of videos, and those dance videos. Years ago, I had those dance videos I've made because I was kicked out of the gymnasium for election day, bake sales, whatever it was. And I was in the classroom because it was raining out. And I put one of my dance videos on, and the kids were into it. And the teacher was there. And on my way out, I'm like, listen, if you're going to have a brain break, hop in this video. They can use it because they usually do like Go Noodle or some random stuff off YouTube. I'm like, they'll see me. They're like, yeah, coach, absolutely. They never did it, right? But because of this pandemic and the fact that they're now looking for everything. And like Go Noodle's getting old, and now they're scrambling. They're like, oh, let me try Coach Gelardi. Let me see what this dance video is all about. And they're like emailing me, Tom, I had no clue that the kids can react the way they're reacting to this. This is amazing. Make more. And now I walk through the hallways of my school and I hear the sounds of some of the songs I created. And I look through the window and I look on the smartboard and I see my shiny head on the screen, and it's amazing. And now I finally, sadly, because of this situation, was able to get the teachers to buy in. So now I have the teachers bought in. Now it says PE with coach, no longer gym with coach. Now the kids are looking forward to seeing me. Every time they do come in, they've always told me, oh, they did this in class, did that in class. So now I have a strong bond with the kids, with the staff. And if we can get COVID to disappear, I think it's going to be an amazing few years with them because of all the relationships you were able to build.
That's awesome.
Amazing. How do you follow that one up, Quinn? How do you follow that up?
Well, like for me, like I had a simple answer going into it. I think all of the physical education teachers technical competence has improved to the point that it has to be an improvement on their teaching as we move forward. Like there were so many PE teachers, physical education teachers that were not utilizing anything if it had to do with technological. Like I knew people who still had dittos, you know what I mean? Like that's really going back, dittos and worksheets and stuff when they were doing their stuff instead of utilizing all the options that they have now. And the way this happened, I think this will just help to increase the amount of technological competence that teachers have and their ability to have their kids buy in. Just as Tom was saying, like the kids are looking at you on the screen doing stuff. Like they lost their mind, George, when I did the Black History thing and they saw me on there, dude. They lost their minds. Like, oh my God, that's you! I was like, I told you it was a friend of mine. You didn't hear me, did you? And so. Like they just are going bananas, and the fact that they see it, like some of the kids are starting to get cool with it, like, yeah, I know that's you, whatever. But for the most part, you can still kind of see they're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Look, he's on the screen, you know. So all of that stuff will help lead us to a better place because now you can integrate that into what you're doing already to make your program better. So technology was always there to kind of make your program better, but now it'll actually be utilized to make your program better because before it wasn't being utilized to the extent that it could be.
No, I love all of these things. I think when you have staff buy-in and there's a little bit more deeper understanding and respect for the PE, and sometimes it's a department, sometimes it's one teacher. Like every situation is different. And Tom, I'm gonna be the light that you haven't heard in a while because I know you got this like dark sense of this COVID. You know, in this rural area where I'm teaching at, the numbers have gone down so much. Thank goodness, you know, that the kids are actually able to, first grade can actually commingle at recess because they're outside. They're commingling at recess. They're playing. Everybody's on the play structure. There's nobody on the blacktop. It's like, it's crazy. But like kindergarten's everybody's on the same play structure. But they're saying that because they're outside and they're outside less than 15 minutes, the most important thing is that when they go inside is that they wash their hands immediately. And, you know, if they're not running, put their mask on. You know, they're pretty good about keeping their mask on. And I think it's been really good. And I've been able to share equipment with them as long as they hand sanitize before and after. Boom. And I sanitize the equipment even after. But for you, things will get better, Tom. You know, the vaccine is rolling out. I've had my second shot. Mr. Sanders had his second shot. Did you get your second shot yet, Tom?
Yes, I'm good to go. I'm fully vaccinated. Yeah.
All right, there we go. So, I mean, things are going in the right direction. What, you know, would you like to add anything else about the next 2-3 years? What do you think, Tom? Is there anything else big that you want to add? Small?
Honestly, I just would love for things to go back business as usual. You know, that's what I'm hoping for because the program that was being run was great. And if we can go back to that with, like what you were saying before, with the technology piece being finally utilized, the sky's the limit, really. And you know, I'm envious of you, right? New York City, my kids haven't had recess since last year. No recess. They're very concerned here in the city. But things will get better, and I'm just gonna hope for that, you know?
Yeah, we've had recess all year. They've had to stay within their corner of the blacktop, and then only one group a day will get the structure. And then until this Monday, they were able to finally commingle. But they've been really adamant about, you know, like this corner for this group, this corner for this group, and the numbers have just gone down so much. And my, you know, my own opinion is like people that were gonna get it have already gotten it, and we've had a big wave of staff members getting it previous to the Thanksgiving break, and now we're seeing like pretty much for the most part people aren't getting it as much a second round. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Absolutely.
Would you like to add anything else, Quinn?
As well, from what I've seen, the biggest thing for us over the next 3 years is to help the students unlearn their ability to sit for long periods of time over this whole time. Because man, like I had to crack out the brain study. Like, hey, this is your brain sitting there. This is your brain when you just go on a 20-minute walk. We do way more than a 20-minute walk, but this is what, you know, this is what your brain looks like when you're just sitting there staring at the TV or staring at your computer screen. So I'm advising you guys to try to get up and do as much as you possibly can, because they are so okay right now with just sitting and just looking at something. And we have got to get them out of that this next 3 years. We've got to kind of help them unlearn all of that, because some of my people are starting to get bigger than they should be. And so we gotta help them unlearn that as quickly as we possibly can. Like, not so much in your area, because if you guys are out doing stuff, then they're better off for that. But our little guys, man, have been sitting and hanging out like the whole time. So we've got to get them back to being able to move in a meaningful way.
Well, yeah. I really would like to just say thank you guys big time for coming on. Tom, I know we don't have a relationship yet, but I think after this conversation, you know who I am, what I'm about, and I know what you're about. We're ready to keep working together, and if anything you need, just reach out to me. Quinn, I'll call you soon, big dog. Anything else you guys, anything else you want to say before you guys head off, Quinn?
No, I do not, man. It's been a pleasure. And Tom, it is very nice to meet you, sir. I hope
as well.
We can hook up at some other point and get it. Hey, I'm a hugger dog, so just know when COVID's over and I run into you, bruh, it's gonna happen. Just understand.
Quinn, do you have a Twitter handle or anything?
I do. I am Quinn Sanders 3 at, I think it's Quinn Sanders, or at Quinn Sanders 3. I think that's it. Look at it real quick, George. Help me out, man.
Tom, could you share yours really quick?
Yeah, mine's just at Coach Gelardi. So
at Coach Gelardi. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And Quinn Sanders, you're at Quinn Sanders 3. So I'll put that right there at the bottom at the end of this video for everybody to go to, and I'll put it on the YouTube description too, so that people can find you. And you know, Quinn Sanders does his GIF of the day. And this week he took a little vacation, but every day he posts a different GIF, and he's gonna share it pretty soon. He's gonna make a collection and he's gonna share it pretty soon. I'm pushing him to do it. Tom,
for sure it wasn't a vacation, big dude. Like, I can't do it this week.
It's all good. Tom, what are people gonna find on your Twitter? What's the main thing that you share?
As soon as I make content, I try to just share everything out. I mean, This is the time to do it. People are just looking for ideas. They're running out. So anytime something pops in my head, I'll pick a day to film it, and I'll instantly try to, from PE at home activities to dance warm-ups. And then I've finally been dabbling into creating some Google slides using GIFs, but taking baby steps, right? It's not easy as teachers when you're not tech savvy. You can't say, hey, Johnny, computer teacher, help me with this.
Yeah,
Well, we
for
need to be
sure.
6 feet apart, and it's,
Yeah.
so figuring this out on my own has been difficult, but
Or keep a
Well
lookout
worth it though, I'm sure.
keep a lookout on my YouTube, because then I'm still releasing little videos on how to edit and just things to simplify what you're doing. And hopefully it helps everybody out. Well, thank you everybody for that episode.